He's been getting dogs abuse all weekend, but he can really crap on the front lawn with this. Yes! Shane Lowry drinks his way into Ryder Cup folklore. The Archie Gemmill of golf sinks the putt, and now he'll be sinking 3 pints for the rest of his life. Never in doubt. Cheerio! Cheerio!
Christy O'Connor Jr., Eamon Darcy, Philip Walton, Paul McGinley, and now Shane Lowry. Just absolutely, I cannot believe what I witnessed. Ronan, glad you've come in. Gonna have a deep dive on the Ryder Cup, but what a day's golf! What a night!
Yeah, it was unreal. Like, it was such a terrible tournament up until last night, and I'm telling you something. Like, if Larry hadn't held that putt, I think we're having a very different conversation about who won the Ryder Cup. And like, Medina's gone, Medina's finished. And, like, you're talking about the greatest comeback of maybe in sport or whatever, but like, unbelievable. Larry, like a producer of such great moments, did it again. Like, you're talking about another all-time moment for Irish sport, and I think the golfing season has been bookended by 2 all-time moments for Irish sport as well. Like, it's just, you couldn't write it almost.
No, well, hopefully you do.
Yeah.
No, it's. I just can't get my head around it. I knew I didn't know this time yesterday it would be quite as tight. I knew it would definitely tighten up. But holy God, what transpired! Like, I still in a bit of shock. Like, I hadn't felt that way with over a shot when it was coming near the end, when you knew it was going to be on Lowry, it was going to be on Tyrrell, Bob Mack. When it came down to that, I hadn't felt like that watching golf since McIlroy in the back nine at Augusta earlier on in the year. Like, it's just that feeling of stomach turning, edge of the seat, don't know whether to laugh or cry, so emotionally invested in something, and then that release, and that like for Shane to do it with his putter as well.
Yeah,
it means a lot. It does mean a lot. That's a lifetime. Like, that's it. Like, that's the pinnacle. There is no. Harrington talks about like rising and the pinnacle, and that you get to your Everest, and you get. What else can Shane Lowry do?
Win the PGA Tour event. No, I get what you mean. Like, and it's one of those things where
it's meaningless. PGA Tour event's meaningless.
It's been such a frustrating year for him because he obviously hasn't got over the line, let a few chances go by, and it's been the putter that's let him down. Like, how many times has he stood over a putt of that length, like in any other golf tournament, and missed it, and then he missed it again and again, and then for some reason, like, streaky putters are dangerous in match play anyway, but when he was standing over it, I don't think anyone thought that he wouldn't get it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You kind of, it's come at the hour, come at the man, and like, we'll get in. It's a team event. The team have won. Europe have won the Ryder Cup, not Shane Lowry, and he hold the putt to retain it. In some ways, you feel a bit sorry for Tyrrell Hatton in all this, that actually did get the half point, that won the cup for us. But as a moment, as a thing, I've been bad for this over the years of, like, you shoot from the hip sometimes. You have a go at players for certain things they do or whatever. And Shane has probably been the brunt of a few things that I've said in the past that I might regret, or, like, in the grand scheme of things, I had no insight to what he was doing or what he was doing. But to know that you have to stand up and be counted, and to do what he did, like, birdied 4 of the last 5 holes in that match against the third best player in the world, knowing he had to do something, to embrace it on the 18th tee and say to Darren Reynolds walking up, I've a chance to do something I've dreamt about my whole life right here. Let's go and do it. And then to execute. Under that pressure, like, it is phenomenal. It's undescribable nearly.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it was brilliant to see him just stand up over the week as a whole anyway, because he had a poor first day. And I think, like, if I wanted McIlroy to get the winning point or winning putt or whatever, just because it would have been fitting, but next in line would have been Shane Lowry, because he took a serious amount of abuse as well. And like, Europe, we've needed a Ian Poulter type of figure, and Lowry definitely is that. And now he sort of has that crowning moment that, Poulter has a catalogue of those, but Poulter never held a winning putt or retaining put or whatever it's going to be called. So like Lowry, like people would have questioned saying, does he bring anything more than just like, you know, good vibes and whatever? Clearly he brings a lot more than that.
Is he the new postman?
Well, he is.
He's delivered 3 times. Like he has
his career. If you look at his career,
Yeah.
his even just like his highlight reel is unbelievable. The
Big
hole in
time.
ones. He's at Sawgrass, Pebble Beach, Augusta. Won the Open in Ireland. He's won WGCs. He's won big events. He's won like the BMW PGA. He's won alongside McIlroy. Like doesn't win as often as he should. But I mean, he's got a CV and, you know, accolades and highlight reels that are as good as anybody to have ever played the game.
Yeah. No, we're going a bit too deep onto Shane Lowry on a team win, like we said. But yeah, Team Europe. I like. There's so many areas because we haven't recorded a podcast since we previewed this. We didn't come on daily, but yeah, like to go back and dissect. There's so many ways we can look at this. But what do both teams take from this? Like Europe went on a mission. Luke Donald now has cemented himself as probably the greatest Ryder Cup captain. When you hear players like McIlroy saying that, Lowry saying that, Hatton saying that, Rahm, like the best Ryder Cup, and in fairness to Keegan Bradley, he said it as well, probably the best Ryder Cup captain Europe has ever produced. It's a phenomenal achievement.
Yeah, it's funny considering he was never supposed to be in the position in the first place, and now he's the greatest captain ever. It just goes down to the preparation, like with even the pillows and the rooms and the shampoo and everything. Like every single inch that he could get out of this, he went and took it. It all comes down to preparation. The continuity of the team is unbelievable. I mean, we said it 2 years ago. You could pick the same 12 players. He picked 11. Live has been good for European golf. I've always said that. It allowed them to like replenish and go through a necessary transition. But what Donald has done with those players is simply unbelievable. I don't think anybody could have foreseen them winning back-to-back Ryder Cups and being like, they were dominant for both of them. I know they were run close last night, but in general they were dominant, and he's put together like the greatest European team there's ever been. And nowadays, like, retaining a Ryder Cup captaincy is so rare. Whereas back in the day, like Tony Jacklin, Bernard Gallagher would have done 2 or 3. I don't see any reason why Donald shouldn't be kept on until, you know, Europe lose one, if they ever lose another one.
Yeah, I don't know. Don't know on that one. I probably don't see that. I
don't see it happening, but
yeah.
I think there's no reason to make a change, and I don't think there's an obvious candidate either.
I think Justin Rose is the obvious candidate.
I think
but
Rose
he'll probably
be
want to play, yeah. But like, yeah, he'd be close to 50. Well, I don't know what age
47.
Justin Rose. 47. I think on that, there's a plan. McGinley's gone on about this away task force now the whole time, and top of that task was to keep the same captain. And I think the template now stipulates 2 cycle captains. You do home first, because nobody loses a home Ryder Cup unless you're Keegan Bradley or guys of that ilk, and we'll get into that again. But yeah, I think for the good of the system, I think he'll be a vice captain.
Oh, he'll definitely be reintegrated, but that's
in the K Club, and that's
the difference. The word system.
Yeah,
Europe have a system. Like, it is, even the lads who aren't part of the backroom team during the week, there's people in the background throughout the last 2 years have done things like the task force, just the conveyor belt of knowledge that is just being, you know, flooded into preparing for this thing. And then you look at the USA lads, and it's like they turned up on Monday morning and was like, right, let's scramble together a team here and
bring
see
your
how
gear,
we
throw
go.
the balls up there and see what the crack is. But no, we'll dissect Keegan now in a few minutes, because there's lots of areas to get into on that. But yeah, just on on the captaincy, I just, if Luke Donald does it in a dare manner, he has to do it again then in the next time in the States, in Hazeltine. That's my view, and I think that's what the template is now. That I don't think we're ever going to send a captain to an away Ryder Cup that hasn't already done something at home, either won or lost at home.
Yeah.
Unless it's an absolute shit show at home. But I don't think the template doesn't allow it to be a shit show. It can be a shit show on the golf course, as in performance wise, that can happen. with athletes, with elite athletes, but it won't happen in the process. It won't happen in the preparation. This just boils down to, and they've said it all week, details matter. Details. And there's so many things that Luke Donald has just made Keegan Bradley and the PGA of America look average by doing. So many things. Things from, like you mentioned already, shampoo, bed sheets, cracks and doors, whatever they've been doing. I'm sure the US team have done plenty of that stuff. But yeah, they just got so wrong. As a home Ryder Cup, they gave us the advantage, and you're giving it to probably one of the best teams that have ever togged for Europe, with the best captain, surrounded by the most deep thinking captains we've ever had, and then a backroom staff of the like of McGinley and guys like that as well. It's just, there was no stone left unturned, and even at that, it took a monumental effort to get it over the line. Yeah, it still did. And you mentioned there, all the vice captains. I mean, you still have a lot of the balls still there. The two Molinaris, even Gianfranco Zola, throw him in. He drove the buggy. He drove the buggy this week. Yeah. Crucial role. But there's all those lads. And then you look at the US side. There's no real experience in that backroom team at all. No, well, even that makes a difference. Keegan Bradley hadn't been around the Ryder Cup for 10 years. Yeah. 12 and 14 was his last Ryder Cups. Both handed to him on a plate. Just floor wiped at them both times. I don't get, I'm nothing bad about Kevin Kisner or Gary Woodland, but they've never even attended a Ryder Cup themselves as patrons. They've never been to a Ryder Cup. I think so. They're going around showing their kids stuff, and they're like tourists coming into a thing when you need stability, leadership, direction, plan. I just don't get it. Brand Snedeker, Furyk was there. I know, and Furyk was there, but I don't get that backroom team. Whereas it felt like Bradley was copying and pasting. Like we mentioned, Luke Donald would copy and paste a lot. It felt like Bradley was leaning a lot on what they did at the President's Cup. And it's just a complete, it's night and day, those two contests. It's a different test. That's the thing. It's a different test. And you hear players, you prepare for a test based on the questions. And they just didn't have the same attention to detail in the US setup as the Europeans do. And that's the simplicity of it. The details, the level of detail, what you go into. But it's... it sounds like they didn't really consider the European team at all in terms of the decisions they made and course setup and everything. It was all about them. But even what it means, the whole money thing, that thing that reared its ugly head at the start of the week, and that really pissed them off. And they kind of need a chip on their shoulder, the Americans, it seems, to kick them into gear sometimes. But Lowry hit it on the head when he spoke about going back to the K Club, to the Irish Open and to Wentworth a couple of weeks before, and it made him realise, it reminded him what he's playing for, what he's doing, what all this is for, what the Ryder Cup is for, what it does, what it funds. They know exactly what it funds. It funds the Challenge Tour, it funds the next wave of players coming through. It's them cementing their legacy, giving a nod to the past while doing what they're doing now and paving the future for golf this side of the Atlantic. But they know that what they do now and the success of that is brick by brick building a better ecosystem in Europe. And that's where the money's going. And that's what they've bought into. And that gives them a sense of meaning, a sense of purpose, a sense of direction, a sense of unity. It's so different to the Americans then who do, you have your President's Cup one year and then you have your Ryder Cup the next year. Two totally different organisations. The PGA America I don't think the players on the American side actually buy into the PGA of America, because the PGA Tour, from a business sense, I don't know, they tend to look down on the PGA of America and what they do. The players look down, be it right or wrong. That's the vibe I get from it. And there's just no unity. There's no joined up thinking. And on live from McGinley and Brandel were going on about, like, you know, what the Europeans do, and it's the same people. Like, Europe have a team cup, and they put that as one of their tasks on the list. When the Sevi Trophy went and Europe lost, like 2018 or 2016, and Ryder Cups like that, they realised that it was because there was no other alternative competition, and maybe we need to get back into this again and do that. Whereas, you know, again, it's you're preparing for the test at hand. The Team Cup is a direct replica. There's nothing you won't be exposed to there that you'll be exposed to, and the same people are exposing you to it. Whereas President's Cup to Ryder Cup, 2 different systems, different organisations, different ownership model, all this dirty crap going on in the background with money, with live, with all that all feeds into this, and that's why the American players they don't want the money. They're looking for their pound of flesh because they don't feel an affiliation with the PGA of America like we feel with the Ryder Cup, with the European Tour.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the European players still have that affiliation for the European Tour, considering they all play the bulk of their golf in America. Like, you could very easily lose that sort of affinity and that love and that reminder of, like, what you're playing for, compared to like 20 years ago, when, you know, our Irish lads would be going over to stateside intimidated by what they're going to face because they're representing the actual European Tour. Whereas Donald's done really well to channel that, change it, because you can't, it's never going to be the same because just the way the landscape is now. But you're representing your country, you're the number one player in your country, you're representing Europe, but you're also doing it for yourselves and your respective countries, and then the players who've gone before us. Like, there's so much legacy that the European team tap into every single time. Like, Lowry is going to be on the next Ryder Cup reel video thing, whatever's used in 2 years' time to prepare the team, whether he's there or not. And you just don't get the sense that the Americans buy into that at all.
Yeah. No, it strikes me just as crazy, like, and even looking at just our approach, like, we're talking about pointing fingers at, there's just no joined up thinking between, like, where was Tiger?
I never really considered that at all, to be honest with you.
Does he give a shit about the Ryder Cup? Or, like, why are they relying, like, they're relying on Donald Trump to come and rile their people up? Tiger would have been, like, he might have been a distraction, they might say that, but even if he's not, he should be part of the process as a future. His playing days are gone. He's obviously going to be a future Ryder Cup captain. Yeah. They asked him to be captain this time, so why is he not involved as a vice captain? I don't. That's the problem, though. Don't understand.
That goes back to what we said like 15 minutes ago, that there's a continuation. Like, your vice captains are going to be in the running to be captains, and even your captains are going to dip back in and be vices. And, like, will we ever see Gary Woodland or Kevin Kisner or Webb Simpson part of a backroom team again? Maybe not. And so that's what I mean. Like, there's no obvious candidate for the USA. It's like they pluck a captain out of thin air and we're like, right, this will work. There's no model being put in place here, and it's amazing considering when they trounced Europe in 2021, it looked like they had cracked the code and they were going to have, you know, a good decade of dominance and reel off 3 or 4 Ryder Cups in a row like Europe did before, and that just hasn't happened. It feels like they're back to square one, just plucking ideas out of thin air for the next one. That's what they do. Like, Woods probably will be the Ryder Cup captain in 2 years' time with the JP McManus link that he has, but he's no credentials.
No, yeah, that doesn't show me he cares about the Ryder Cup. You know, like, if you care, you'd be there. You'd be in the trenches with your team. Yeah. You'd be,
at least if, like, Graham McDowell is made the captain, and that is a possibility if things get ironed out and everything. I know he's been away from the Ryder Cup arena since 2021, but he's still fairly recently heavily involved, and he's been part of a couple of backroom teams as well post his Ryder Cup playing career. So there is that, again, continuation, where I know Woods has done the odd stint here or there, but it just doesn't feel like he's in it for the team. It would be all about himself if he was made the captain.
Yeah, I don't get how the USA, Team USA, have gone from like when you actually say it out loud, gone from winning by 10 points 2 Ryder Cups ago, 3 Ryder Cups ago, winning by that to, and Rory even hit on it about the decade of dominance and this, that and the other and the thing, having jibes at Chipnook and doing that. How have they blown it up so badly? How have they gone from something that Steve Stricker seemed to have working for him to...
We've got Alan Chipnook giving it the old population card and calling for Corey Connors to come in.
So wants Canada to be
He
involved.
wants to be North America, wants Canada and Mexico. Right, you're Corey Connors and Abraham Answer. God, that'll make some difference. Christ, they wouldn't even get into the European team.
Yeah, it is frightening. It really is frightening. But like, I don't know the context. I don't know. For me as a Leeds fan, it's the context of having Marcelo Bielsa one day and then ending up getting relegated within a year from the Premier League with Big Sam as your manager. That's what they've done. They've blown it up themselves. They've bad decision after bad decision, and it's their own fault. But I don't know where America go from here. Like, how do you go about preparing for the next Ryder Cup? Like, I don't know. Was there? You listen to the Europeans talk, and they talk about Whistling Straits and coming away and the flight home or the transport away from the course, and they started strategizing right there. What has gone wrong? Like, vocally as players, leaders, stand up, start talking, start addressing. You know, we need to get this right. And that like, the second Harrington stood away from that golf course in Whistling Straits, the snowball had started, and how we right this wrong and what gets done had already... I don't think the Americans... the Sunday... I think, if anything, the Sunday singles is actually going to give them the mentality of, this is the greatest European team ever, and that's probably the greatest European captain ever, and we got so close, so we're on the right path here. And I hope that's what they take from it.
But they're not. I mean, like, all that was missing from Europe was the record-breaking away win. But because the 4 sessions before that, they were the first side since 1979 to clean sweep 4-0, 4 sessions. I mean, record-breaking leads at certain points throughout the contest. I mean, this was an embarrassment for the USA. And at one point, I was watching the singles last night and looking at the projected score, and I was thinking, God, 17-11 doesn't sound that bad. Like, you could gloss over that if you just, again, scoreboard journalism, you just look at the score, you're thinking, it wasn't too bad. Because you might think, it might get to like 14-11, then Europe pull away and win the last few matches when things are over. And then it got to 16-12. And when I got to 16-12, I was like, okay, it takes 1 or 2 swings here for this to start shifting to the USA. And it's like, how have they gotten into this position at all? Because they
won one match.
They won one match.
Yeah, one. It
was unbelievable. And like, the USA weren't as bad as the scoreline after the first 4 sessions actually suggests. The stats were actually pretty good. Just Bradley made some baffling decisions with pairings.
So let's get into Keegan Bradley, right? I think if Keegan Bradley was playing this Ryder Cup, the Americans probably would have won it. They could have won it. Probably would have. That's unfair. But like, they would have had a much better chance. Yeah, as a captain, he has been shambolic. I do hope they, rinse and repeat and go again. And there was talk about it. He was quite magnanimous in his press conference afterwards of thanking everyone. I'll think about what I do going forward. But like, I hope they buy into that.
Why should he be thinking about what he's going to do going forward? He should be thinking about playing.
Yeah,
and therein lies your problem.
Yeah, exactly. Luke Donald gave up his career. Not like it happened for him, but he's willing to prioritise the Ryder Cup. Keegan Bradley prioritised himself all the way through this process. I have been chosen here to be. It's in the same way as Trump thinks he's he thinks he's Napoleon.
Yeah.
It is that same mentality that it just does not leak into the European psyche of doing things. It's funny, saying Napoleon was European, but still at the same time, you know what I'm getting at. I just if Keegan
but that again, it comes back down to preparation. Like, Luke Donald would play a European Tour event, but he might play with, say for example, someone in contention, like a Thomas Peters, say, that kind of character. Like, someone, on the European side who will be in contention to make the team. Now, obviously Peters wasn't, but that kind of player, maybe a Matt Wallace. He'd play with Matt Wallace. That's a better reference. And Matt Wallace is in contention to make the team. It's April, and playing in somewhere, say Denmark for argument's sake, and Donald will play the first 2 rounds with him because Donald's not trying to make the team. So Donald won't play then for another 4 or 5 weeks, whereas Bradley's playing week in, week out for himself. He's not playing with lads who are in contention to make the team, which means then you're actually not preparing for this Ryder Cup because you're trying to make this team. And he was picked, he's just too young to be a captain. Like McIlroy said, you can't do it. And part of that is actually you're actually not able to commit to a full schedule and prepare for Ryder Cup at the same time. You can't do it.
Yeah, it's impossible. But but he just dragged it out to 3 weeks before this thing, before we knew if he was playing or not. Like, that's where the damage has been done. It's that damage of...
He was cramming for an exam.
Yeah. And he didn't know what the exam was, and he's not qualified to... He does not have the mental makeup because he's focused on his playing career still. It just... I don't know how the PGA of America have ended up with this, but they have. But, like... Yeah, it was a shit show. It was. There's no other ways about it. And it's no coincidence that the second the singles start, when all that clutter is gone and it's just the best players in the world using into their process of being the best players in the world, just playing golf, my own golf ball. I need to think about nothing else here, only me. It is, and that is when the captains have the least amount of input is onto the singles. And it's no coincidence that the Americans thrived when they didn't have that sort of, handcuffs put onto them or lack of preparation. It was just go out, play golf the way you normally do, and you're going to be put into this unbelievable atmosphere, and people are going to be on your side, and just go and thrive off it. And they excelled, they did. But like the shit show that happened before it, like the mistakes on Friday and Saturday, like I don't know how you can formulate a team using data as they do, and then like just revert back to gut instincts and feelings on pairings. You cannot tell me Scotty Scheffler went into that week expecting to play 4-ball with Bryson. Like, it just wasn't the thing.
Yeah, you never see
panic.
Like, you rarely see two blockbuster players going together anyway. And even in terms like the running order, like who teed off and what hole, it's like they didn't even give that any consideration. Like the first 6 holes in Bethpage, I think the amount of times the USA birdied the first hole to go 1 up, and then by the 6th or 7th they were like 2 down, because you had some of the worst putters on the team having to take the putts and foursomes on those holes, which are the birdie holes. Like you have a par 5 that everybody can reach, like things like that. Whereas Donald would have known about all of that. I don't think that ever came into Keegan's head, and it goes back to 2021 again. One of the great things Steve Stricker did, I think Brooks Koepka is someone who said it, you just let us do our own thing. Like, do you want to go to this dinner, or we're going to have like this function here tonight, or you can just go off and do your own thing. It doesn't matter if you're all not there. So there's very difficult, I think, to get this.
That's
USA
a cultural
team.
difference.
It's a cultural thing. It's very difficult to get the USA to act as a team. So when you're actually trying to put them together then as a team, you have to leave no stone unturned. And I think there was a lot of wishy-washiness about the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gave players in practice like the fluidity in terms of, like JJ Spahns played with Harris English on Tuesday, right? On Wednesday, JJ is going to be out with Scotty Scheffler or whatever it is. I think it was, right, you're going out with your one pairing, and this is going to be pretty your stock pairings. We're not going to change too much. And it proved right. Like, he didn't change anything really. And I don't know why Ben Griffin didn't play more than one of the team sessions. I mean, one of your best players coming in, and you didn't really give him a chance. Even
JJ was underutilised. Cam was underutilised.
Oh, Cam Young was brilliant.
Like, I can't get my head around it. Then, like, not picking himself to play is probably the biggest mistake that he's made, Bradley.
Yeah,
and I would have had him in instead of Colin Morikawa all day. Then the Morikawa English thing, then like ignoring the data on that still hasn't addressed on any of these situations. Then you add in exactly what you said about the Scotty Scheffler, Harris, and Russell Henley not knowing who's teeing off on which hole, doing it different both days.
Yeah, that's not good. Like,
and statistically being like they were 2 shots better as Scheffler Henley than they were as Henley Scheffler. That sounds a bit weird doing it that way.
Yeah.
But no, they were 2 shots better. That is insane. That's criminal. And when you add all of these things and then they gloss over it sometimes by saying, oh yeah, they just hold more putts than us or they did this, you're not given the respect to the level of detail that the Europeans went in onto the exact same thing. The list is endless of the mistakes, and hindsight, I totally agree, is very easy. They just relied on the crowd. They relied on thinking that they were going to like overawe the Europeans and we're going to outperform them, we're going to do this. But like you highlight all those errors that we're saying that were made and still they only lost by 2 points.
Yeah, I think Bryson is such a key figure in all of this because I thought he actually played okay, but I was like, oh God, he's kind of been let down by his playing partners. Like Scotty didn't really do him any favours on the Saturday night, and then I'm thinking, is Bryson just like so difficult to play with if you're in that American team room? Because
all he cares about is Bryson.
Yeah, and you could see that in the singles. It was all about him, like, and everything. And why wouldn't it be, I suppose, if it's a singles? But I changed my little bit of thinking about it. I thought he was maybe being hard done by his partners, but then I'm thinking he must be awful to play with. And like Cormac Sharvin said, even at the Walker Cup in 2015, you could tell he was very individual compared to what was going on in the team, and I think that doesn't really help either.
Yeah, like it's just shocking. I don't know. It really is shocking. Like, and like, where do they go from here? Like, what would you do, or what should they start looking at? Like going into Adair Manor in 2 years. Like, do you bring the kids? Do you pack it out with kids and give them experience? Saying we try and give this a go in Ireland to the best of our capabilities and build a team for Hazeltine at home.
Yeah, I would go along with something along those lines. Anyway, I think you'd make like Europe have a core of McIlroy, Rahm, Hovland, Fleetwood, Hatton. Maybe leave Hovland out of it. USA need to establish a core of like Cam Young, JJ Spawn, still have Scheffler in there, Justin Thomas. There's like your 4 players, and your probably 4 best players. I know Scheffler didn't play well. You build your team around that, and Bradley probably should be in that in some way, shape, or form. And then again, bring up the kids, like bringing Ben Griffin, other lads like that. I mean, there's a lot of players in that American team who just aren't good under pressure either. Like Morikawa wilted pretty much all week. Harris English didn't do anything. Russell Henley was pretty poor up until Sunday night, I felt.
Yeah.
So again, I said it in the preview, there was no one really to fear on that team. Like Cantley, another one, had played well, in fairness, but like Schauffele was in and out. No one really put their hands up bar Cam Young and Justin Thomas and JJ Spawn.
Yeah, I just
like
think
if you're taking any positives, they're your 3 positives.
The European have just out prepared them again. Even Xander, like I know he's been away, he's had a baby and stuff like that, but like they've seen him twice since the Open. That's no way to prepare for a Ryder Cup. I thought they'd made that mistake in Rome and said they weren't going to make that mistake again, and they've just done the same thing again because there's no continuation. There's no, like, we're going over the same things over and over and nearly making it easier. Like, they're making it easier for Europe. Not that it's easy, but and still after all that they get within a couple of points. They have to be sick.
Oh, they have the players.
Yeah, they do have the players. That's the thing. They just don't have the cop on in the organisation to pull it all together, which is mental. Like, we've gone through, and that's before we even get into the biggest thing that you got wrong, Bradley, was the golf course.
Oh, the golf course was terrible. Like, it was such a terrible watch at times. Every shot was the same, whether you're in the rough or in the fairway. Hit it 10 feet past and spin it back. It was just dreadful.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, at times I was looking at it and I didn't even know, like, who was playing. All the shots were the same. They
were all the same, weren't they? And that's like, you know, you've a golf course that the sign on the first tee is, this is the most difficult golf course, only for like
the easiest golf course in the world.
It really was.
Like, it was a scratch golfer would go around and shoot level par. Yeah, playing pretty okay, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know why they thought like you said earlier in the pod, actually, they prepared for this thinking this is the best way for us to try and do this, not actually relaying the data from the European side and go, actually, hang on a minute there. Because the Europeans were going around this golf course, and you could tell by a lot of stuff, looking at some of the detail, when the pins were on the front, they were hitting fairways. And a lot of European missed fairways throughout the match, especially on the like of one and holes like that.
One was interesting, yeah.
When there was, so we'd go further left, we'd find a fairway when the pin's on the front, knowing that the ball's going to spin back. When the pins were further back and the greens were so wet, they were purposely putting into the rough, knowing you're going to get a good lie 98% of the time, and there's going to be no spin and you can get further back. They're those little nuances that the Europeans were doing these things on purpose. Even
like attacking, I think the pin on Sunday on the first was tucked back left, and because of the rain, the greens are just ridiculously soft. Like Hatton was in the rough, and the commentary team were saying, "Oh, this is a poor angle. If you put the ball in the air, it's going to hop forward 10 feet and it's going to stop."
But they knew all this. They knew, the Americans, the golf course. They knew the weather that was coming, but they were watering the greens on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday before all the rain came in. I just don't get it. I don't get.
You also can't trick up. We talk about tricked up golf courses a lot when it comes to the majors. You can't trick up a very, very difficult golf course and make it easy. You just can't do it. It's going to be too easy.
Yeah.
Like Bethpage Black is flat greens. Like you're essentially making the course defenceless by cutting the rough.
Yeah, they could have played this in the SoFi Centre, like where they play TGL.
Yeah.
They could have done that and you would have got the same. Like the boys spinning back 3 woods on telly and you're just going, this is bullshit.
Yeah, it was
and it really was as a spectacle. We deserve better to be served up something like that. It's an entertainment process at the end of the day, and the sooner the better we get to a stage where the home team advantage is not dictated by golf course, that there's an independent party and there's set parameters agreed, and because like the Europeans do it when it comes here and everybody knows what they do, so the way with, make it tighter, push the ropes even further back, have variable rough, don't have it all like low or all really high. The more you put it down to chance sometimes in certain areas, you might get a good lie, but you might get a bad lie, and like you're fuzzing the numbers a bit, you're fuzzing the stats and the odds and the data and stuff, but I couldn't get my head around the course setup. It really scratching my head at it, and the sooner the better. That I don't know what they can do. Like a Dare Manor is a Dare Manor. What can you do with a Dare Manor? That this is the thing that it's going to be you can't really make that a lot easier, like they have with Bethpage. This is where
in a Dare,
it's going to be a truer test.
The greens are a massive defence there as well.
But they'll be firm.
Well, if we get the weather,
it doesn't matter. They will be firm. They've underground, like the same as Augusta. If we get a deluge of rain within 6 hours, they're back to, hitting into concrete again.
Yeah, we'll make the course tight, and I think the rough will be longer than there was in Bethpage anyway. So it'll play like Marco Simone did, like Golf National did. Just leave the golf course as it is and make subtle little changes. Don't completely tear up the thing and essentially change the entire design of the course, because that's what they did.
Yeah, no, I can't get my head around it. It really is crazy. Right, golf course. We've done the crowd.
Disgraceful. Abhorrent, vile. McIlroy said it brilliantly, I think, in the press conference. Like, you're supposed to be supporting your team.
Yeah.
We talk about, we have our little gags about Liverpool or Meath or Kildare, Leeds, whatever on the start of this podcast. Like, we're all massive sports fans who go to matches, and probably no one goes to more matches than I do across all sorts of sports. And you're always going to give stick to someone, whether it's the person beside you supporting a different team or a certain player you don't like, manager, referee. But the most you're going to go is tell them to F off or call them a prick. And that's fine. You can go home, no problem. Have a pint with the guy beside you that you gave stick to for an hour and a half. But you're still supporting your team. You're not like these. And I know there were Americans, obviously they're supporting America, and I feel sorry for them that their experience was spoiled too. But I mean, and people will say this was a minority, it was a fucking big minority of people, and it was just ridiculous. It was a disaster.
PGA of America knew what they were doing, putting it in this golf course, in this area. They just knew
it would be endorsed.
Yeah.
And it was endorsed by marshals. Like, marshals would be there laughing it off. I've seen American fans being interviewed on the news, and they're saying, look, Rory deserves it. Like, this is, we're entitled to do this. It's pretty much like, in social media has a lot to do with this. You can see what the players are, how they're living their lives, and because you earn millions, this gives me the right to just say whatever the fuck I want to you.
Yeah. No, it was horrendous. And like, when I then hear players like, McIlroy's missus gets a point thrown at her.
Yeah.
At one stage as well, on top of all that. But then you hear players. Did you hear Justin Thomas when he was asked about this in the American presser afterwards? No? There was no one really in danger, is kind of how he said it. No one was fearing for their lives. Like, it's absolute bollocks.
That's not the point.
It is not the point.
And what if McIlroy's wife got hit by the fucking thing?
Yeah, I know.
Then there'd be a different problem. Then there would be fearing for your life.
Like, Justin Thomas typifies to me what I hate about that side of the Ryder Cup. He spent that day against Rory and Shane, spent 16 holes riling the crowd up, trying to get it going, trying to get it as close to the edge as possible to use that as an edge, and then spent the last 2 holes quieting them down because he wanted to look good in the TV cameras. And people bought into that.
It was for more than 2 holes now, but I think he's entitled to whip the crowd up. But they shouldn't be behaving the way they are. Like, you can't say for sure whether he's whipping them up to keep abusing Rory, or he's whipping them up to, fucking come on, cheer us on here. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing. There's positive energy and there's negative energy, and the whole week it seemed the lion's share of the American crowd chose the negative side.
Oh, 100%.
And it boils back into what you say, what Rory said. Come and support your team. Don't go and your soul. Like, it's so different to football. Anything like that. Like, football crowds get a hard time. As an away fan, you go sometimes, to go. There's only you go to a Premier League game, there's 3,000 away fans in against 40,000 home fans on average on stuff. Yeah, then you can throw a bit of abuse, you can do that. But nothing like this. And it's banter, and it's, they just took it to a whole new level, and it'll be interesting to see, because the spill out from this will be horrendous. Like, how these players will have to decompress when they come away from this and actually isolate, because most of them live in the States. They all live in America, so do I.
Yeah, like McIlroy could tee it up on Thursday in the Barracuda Championship or whatever. He loves.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. And like, the PGA of America, like, they endorsed this. Like, what that PA announcer girl did.
Yeah, Heather McMahon. No,
6 in the morning, and she's saying, fuck you, Rory, because she can't get the chance going.
Yeah.
But God, everyone will join in because it's anti-Rory. Like, what McIlroy had to put up with is absolutely disgusting.
No, it's vile.
And like, he was dead right to start telling the Americans to fuck off and fuck themselves and fuck you, and as was Lowry. Like, Lowry holding the eagle putt was the moment of the week up until he held the winning putt. It was absolutely brilliant. And they were dead right. And like, this is the reason Matt Fitzpatrick's parents didn't travel.
Yeah.
They knew this would happen. And I'd say even watching on the TV, it actually went beyond what they thought was possible. Like, this was a disaster.
That's it. Like, McIlroy, and he sums it up himself as one of the greatest moments in his career, and his daughter isn't there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It is terrible. It is. And what are we? I don't know. And this is for. We don't get that in Europe like that.
No, again, you spoke about football. If we come over to Europe, Europe are going to give it loads, but it's banterful. Like,
yeah.
There's a bit of niggle in it, as there should be. A bit of a jibe, but you shake hands and move on then at the end of the day.
This is what the PGA America sold the Ryder Cup as, though. They sold it as us against them. It's a war.
They sell it as wars, yeah.
They sell it as wars.
In fairness, like, Europe as well aren't inexcusable. They do buy into that as well, but they just channel it differently.
Yeah. Like,
Europe give it the whole, we're going on to enemy territory here. No one's done this since 2012 or whatever. This is our time, our place. Like, it is sold on that. Which I suppose it has to be if you want to keep it moving. But like, USA just take it far too far.
You go back to Corey Pavin coming out in like army gear and stuff like that back in the day.
Yeah.
It is a different level. But I don't know. The Ryder Cup going forward, like, there's so many things going on in the background, and like, with Team Europe. You're sitting in front of me now wearing a Legion 13 hoodie, up the Legion. But there's so many things going on from that will be, you would hope, sorted out by the next Ryder Cup. I don't know what the direction is going forward. It does seem like the PGA Tour and Liv are kind of going their separate ways. On any feedback or anything you're hearing on. So between now and the next Ryder Cup, the European side, there's big decisions to be made. Like all this, we cannot have a Dare Manor without Tyrrell Hatton and John Rahm.
Oh, 100%.
It can't be let happen. And if that decision has been made consciously, then a Dare Manor has to, by the rules or by whatever way it's going to come down, we have to be able to embrace Poulter, Westwood, GMAC, Stenson, Garcia. All these lads need to be brought back into the European fold. And I think between now and a Dare, and people won't like the sound of this or they won't like, but I think it will be more on the European side looked at like a unification. I think that's what will be on the agenda over the next year, is to try and bring people back together again. And if it takes it could take the Ryder Cup to bring golf back together again.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. Because you can't have one rule for someone else and then one rule for another either. Like the only reason, as you said, like Tyrrell and John Rahm are allowed play is because they're still waiting on an appeal for their fine. So this,
and that appeal was strategically put out till after the Ryder Cup.
Like there is a chance that this was their last Ryder Cup for a while. I don't think it will be. I think this thing they'll be allowed play and everything, and I think it will come together, as you said. But yeah, it is a shame to see, Graham McDowell not in the running to captain Europe in 2027. It is.
Yeah, they were like, again, it's unpopular opinion, but like, people will say these lads knew what they were doing going out the door, but I don't think they did.
No,
I don't think they
GMAC
did.
definitely didn't.
Yeah,
like he thought, the Ryder Cup would be put above everything else, and obviously it wasn't. It was sort of used as
like
the stick
majors
to beat them with.
Yeah, it was used as a stick to beat them. Oh, you're not a member anymore. Good luck. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting year in all this. But if this is what we get, but yeah, they need to figure out what the Ryder Cup is going forward and how they, especially away Ryder Cups in the States, because this vitriol, it's not gonna work. It's too divisive. It's not worth it. And players will start to look at that. It's not worth it, and the magic will disappear if it keeps. We're gone over the line now. If it goes any further, like I just dread to think what will happen. So the way it's just sad.
We spoke off air about how when Rahm and Hatton come to play in Europe, they're loved everywhere they go, and even Patrick Reed is respected here. Because people respect that he is one of the top players in the world, and he's won the Masters and whatever. Whereas Bryson has changed his career and changed his popularity by moving to Live. So I'd say he has no real affinity with wanting to go back and play PGA Tour events. If that was
he's
ever
happy
the case,
being an outcast. Yeah,
he's happy about it. And again, that doesn't really fit into the team aspect for a USA Ryder Cup. Whereas Rahm and Hatton are loved by the players as well, and McIlroy has regularly come out and vouched for their inclusion, as have other players. And that's the difference. I don't think anybody would be vouching for Bryson's inclusion.
Yeah. No, it is crazy, and yeah, I don't like. There's a lot of stuff need to be sorted out before the next one. Rules will need to be sorted out as well, like the envelope rule. The Yanks have a problem with this again. Like Keegan was quite salty with what he came out with afterwards, saying, and I don't like the vibe that like they're using this. Even if they got a full point,
still would have lost.
They still would have lost. Yeah,
but there is, the momentum side of it as well.
But it's not a good look. When they're coming out like that and it was 25. It was good. It was a good decision to make if he's not 100% and he is injured. And Hatton only had 10 minutes before his tee time the evening before. But they're questioning the validity nearly of the integrity. And when it gets to that, then they need a rule change. You forget like Kiowa, you're too young to remember Keogh Island. I'm sure you've seen videos of it, but the envelope rule was used there as well, and Steve Pate was withdrawn. We lost that Ryder Cup by a half point, and there was a half and half there, and that worked out very well for the Americans. But they like, when you see Keegan Bradley, it's one other thing that caught him unawares.
Yeah,
that would not happen on the European side. Like, as in, you wouldn't get comment like he's coming out over.
You can't complain about it when you're 7 points down going into a Ryder Cup singles.
No.
And I actually think the Americans are very unlucky to lose the Saturday night 4-balls 3-1. Even if they come out of that with 3 halves and then 1 loss. Because 3 of the matches went down to 18. You can imagine the difference that would have made actually going into the singles, given how it turned out. Because you would have thought they would need to have won that 3-1 instead of losing a 3-1. And again, like, would Victor Hovland have played if it was a tighter contest going into Sunday? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, he might have as a player himself. He might have just sacrificed his body to do that. And I think going forward, they're going to have to change that rule to, that's a decision for you to make. If you don't play, it's a point to the other team.
Yeah,
I think they're going to have to remove the envelope rule. I did feel for Harris English, but again, when was he, like, I'd love to know when he was told, you're the name of the envelope. Or was it just a last minute thing? Like, this all blew up the night before, because it was no coincidence that, like, English and Hovland last on the list, going out in the singles just to see. I don't know, but
yeah,
bit of hearsay and a bit of speculation and that. But like, if English's name was in the envelope, there must have been a bit of communication over and back as to, we've a player injured here.
Yeah, we're going to put him out last.
We're going to put him out last and just see and try to be as fair as possible on it. Wouldn't surprise me if Luke Donald did that, but it just seemed to have, it blindsided Keegan Bradley in a way. Again, it's something else that he missed. That, yeah, I don't know how Harris English will be in the envelope either. It's beyond me.
Yeah, should have been Morikawa.
Absolutely. I would have wrote his name twice in the envelope. So yeah, it's bonkers. But no, it's, I don't know, is there anything else Ryder Cup wise we haven't hit in?
No, I think we have it all there, really, to be honest. It was just brilliant. I thought it was just brilliant Sunday night's viewing, and it turned what I thought was like a really poor spectacle, given the dominance of Europe, and then the crowd abuse was so stop-start, with players having to wait till crowds would simmer down. I struggled to get into a real flow of it. Now, when you're watching, like, because it was so one-sided, I started to get invested in Rory and Lowry's match, and then going to Sunday, I was like, right, don't really give a shite about the other match as long as Rory and Shane win. I'll get invested in that as something to, like, sort of, you know, pump the fist and cheer for, because there was none of that. Like, we said it on the preview pod, we obviously want Europe to win, but you do want it to be a close contest, because there is McIlroy got slated for saying it's an exhibition. There is an exhibition element to the Ryder Cup, and it's having that close contest is what you want. And we eventually did get that, but it was very boring for 2.5 days.
Yeah, definitely got the juice on the Sunday. We definitely got the Ryder Cup that we craved for the last decade. Something that actually there was something to play for on the Sunday. It did. I wouldn't say it came down to a coin toss, because the odds were so stacked against the Americans. But yeah, let's see. On to the next. But I don't think do you do heroes and villains in a week like this?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
You have to, yeah,
big time. Well, we never mentioned the pod sponsor at the start either. Realised.
Capgemini.
We don't have to see that Limerick ad as well on Sky Sports. Visit Limerick. That's one thing I got from the Ryder Cup. So no, Flowgas. Visit flowgas.ie for all your energy needs. Yeah, a lot of energy at the Ryder Cup. Bad energy, good energy, bad energy. But no, for gas, electricity and solar, visit flowgas.ie and support them. It's that time of the year. But yeah,
support your local energy supplier and support your local continent.
Exactly, support your local continent. Right, heroes and villains.
My hero
has to be Luke Donald.
Does it?
All right, go on.
My hero is Shane, but not because of the port, because of the fucking backstab and giving it to the Americans kind of thing. Loved it. Unreal. My hero, I picked a hero from a European side and an American side. Hero for America was Cam Young.
Yeah.
Thought he was excellent. Would have been JJ Spawn, absolute statesman, cult hero, like an absolute god amongst men, but I'm going to give it to Cam Young. my villain on a European side, I was going to have to go with Gianfranco Zola. I was like, what are you doing?
Oh, no.
Why is he there? Like, why is he there?
He's there, like, yeah, like, you need distraction as well throughout the week, you know. So I'm sure he's a few stories.
Well, I'm plucking at straws. Like, there's no villains from the European side, really.
Oh, there is.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Do you think? Okay. My villain then, I know you're going to say Brandon Chambly again, probably.
No.
Are you not?
No.
Wow. Okay.
Hunter Mahan.
Oh, yeah. Christ on a bike. Yeah. Mine's Alan Shipnock.
Why?
For like saying that the European have a bigger population than America.
Oh, yeah.
And he's saying, we should be North America and, you know, get Corey Connors involved and everything else. Whereas, like, the European team is, like, just Western Europe and, like,
he's just getting ready for his next book, that's all.
Like, if we start bringing in the Macedonians and your Estonians and your Kosovans into the team now, then you have a population kind of a question here.
He's a split Dublin in two kind of guy.
He is. You know, he's going full Pat Gilroy, wanting, like, Meath and Carlo to ignite with America and North America and Canada and God knows what else.
Yeah, no, I don't. Hunter Mahan, I don't know. He is going, like, he has the potential to be a future Ryder Cup captain. I think he should be, but yeah,
what?
He does. No, he does.
Nobody likes him.
Yeah, no, I'm putting him down as a villain. I'm just saying he has a future for them to be a captain. I think he could make a good captain for them. But
anytime he goes to the Ryder Cup, he cries.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I just wasn't. I wasn't a big fan of him on Sky. You know, we pay a lot for my Sky subscription. I expect better. The dodgy box subscription as well. I expect better, lads. But I did. Did you see the David Lynn thing actually that he put up? It was so
legend,
good.
Unbelievable.
Good. So David Lynn, for anyone who doesn't like Lindog he's on Twitter, isn't he?
Twitter, yeah.
Calling him out, just saying, good to hear that Hunter Mahan has a voice. I played in the States and our two lockers were next to each other at a lot of events as alphabetical order. Said hello to him many times and the cunt used to completely ignore me. Ended up just having two-way convo by myself, which to be fair was probably more meaningful.
It was brilliant. Two things about that. I have a golf ball off David Lynn from the 2013 Open. Number two, his Twitter profiler is him doing a press conference at the Masters. Now, I know he played, but what situation did he get himself into doing a press conference?
He sells gas now.
At the Masters?
Yeah. Oh, he's some man. But no, it was just interesting to see it. But yeah, I'd put him up as a villain.
There needs to be a deep dive on where, like, the likes of David Lynn and Carl Pettersson and all these boys are. Carl
Pettersson's still in his back garden crying with his long putter. There's a blast from the past.
Hunter Mahan as well would have been in that category until he respawned this week.
JJ. But no, that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. So what? Heroes, villains, done?
Yeah.
No more to add to it?
No, don't think so.
Right. Well, I think that's a wrap for the week. It was more of it was civilised. There was a few F-bombs dropped in there, but it was more civilised chat than I thought we'd have about the thing. Yeah, I'm just really... I'm still on cloud 9 that they won, but yeah, looking forward to the next one. Adair is going to be unbelievable. I just can't wait for the build up, the countdown.
The bypass.
The bypass, yeah. Oh, Jesus, no. See, Brian Kerr's not happy.
No, he's dead right. He's dead right. Brian Kerr is the hero of the podcast this week. Dead right.
Remind people of what he said.
I actually can't remember what he said now. He was going on about, like, golf doesn't need the money and
golf, there's enough money in golf and they'll build that road for a Ryder Cup.
Yeah, for
the Ryder Cup's for one weekend.
Only, yeah. If you invest in academies, you're getting 10 years of investment.
Like, yeah.
Dead right.
Know. But no, that's it. Right, I think there's only one way to end this pod, actually. Yeah, in God we trust. On to the next one.
America. America.
If you've listened this far, there's something wrong with you, by the way. So we'll be back next week. But yeah, anyone that does listen to this, drop us a message and we might send you a hat or something. Good luck.
God bless America.
Bye.